Welcome back to Chicago Bears Weekly. Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, Ep.2 Sports signing in, and welcome to Chicago Bears Weekly Season 10, Episode 2. And in today's episode, we're going to tackle what the Bears should do this offseason, what the Bears should possibly look forward to doing, what free agency moves, re-signings, letting goes of all that the Bears could possibly do, and what I think the Bears should possibly do. All this free agency talk, I'm going to start a little bit early before we get there. But before we do that, make sure you guys give this video a like as it continues to help this channel to grow and it continues to help build the algorithm. And thank you guys for 6K subs. I know it's a little bit delayed, but it was not denied. Thank you guys for the love and support. And if you haven't, make sure you click the subscribe button and notification bell so you will not miss anything that I post. But without further ado, let's dive into it. Now, we're getting into this offseason, and us as Bears fans, we could probably already see what this Bears team needs the most. And I think that is clear as day, pass rush. Because when we come to this playoff game against the Rams, and our secondary was possibly the healthiest, if not just the healthiest that has been all season, it seemed like the Bears had to do a ton just to create pressure on Stafford, whether it was blitzing Brisker, blitzing Gordon, and just blitzing linebackers. It really felt like this Bears team and the coaching staff did not trust the front four to get home. So I think when we're talking about what this Bears team needs the absolute most, it's pass rush. And there are a couple of ways that they can go about it. You can use You can basically get a Myles Garrett, but are the Bears going to take on that contract? You can use a Max Crosby, because the Bears take on the contract and the Bears have some assets to trade away. And maybe you sign a Trey Hendrickson off of the market for a little bit of a lesser price. He's a little bit up there as far as age goes, but it kind of fills a void that you have. Now, what we're going to do right now is going to take a look a little bit of what free agencies that we have. We have Jordan McFadden. I'm not going to get on to all the names. I'm just going to get the key names. Theo Benedict, who played a good role for this Bears offense. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who in all intents and purposes I think is going to be out the door, with Kyler Gordon potentially being healthy. And the only reason that he was signed was because of the injuries to Kyler Gordon. Devin Duvernay proved a very good deal on special teams. Possibly could bring him back. Daniel Hardy, Scott Daly, those are pieces you're probably going to bring back. DeMarco Jackson had a hell of a fill-in season for this Bears team. And with a guy like a Noah Sewell, who was coming off of a torn Achilles, and the recovery process, he's probably not going to play in 2026. So I think of bringing back up DeMarco Jackson will bring the linebacker depth, something with some continuity already. And I think bringing him back could be a thing. Now, Nahshon Wright is a big piece that it's up in the air whether he comes back. Nahshon Wright is in pending free agency. He just, as of the recording of this video, got named as a Pro Bowl alternate, and he's 27 years old. And with the season that he's had, he could command a larger contract than what he would typically go for if he didn't have the season that he had, with all the interceptions and all the takeaways that he actually led the league in takeaways. That is a big piece, but honestly, I think Nahshon Wright is going to be the odd man out in this secondary because, like I said, I don't see them bringing C.J. Gardner-Johnson back, and Nahshon Wright, with the holes that the Bears might have to fill on this defense, I think when we're talking about this secondary, could be the odd man out. Do I think the Bears should try to make a push to re-sign him? Absolutely, but I think he's probably going to be the odd man out. Elijah Hicks is another guy with that cornerback depth. If they don't get a Nahshon Wright, sign back. They probably try to keep Elijah Hicks. Dominique Robinson, I think, is a guy that probably could let walk because he hasn't had much production in his football team. Nick McLeod is another one. Zacchaeus is another guy that I think may be out the door. You got guys like Jonathan Owens, who was good on special teams. Case Pointy might be back. Case Keenum, I think that's a little bit of a bigger one than a lot of people think because of the added value he brought to the quarterback room and the things that he could typically do for your football team. So I think for Caleb's development, I think maybe he comes back another year just to serve as that veteran quarterback in the locker room that he didn't have his rookie year and continue the tutelage and things that he's learned. Now, big questions. Two of the biggest questions I think the Bears have, which I'm going to get to later, is Byard and Stevenson. But Billings, I think Billings is another one if they don't address this free agency with the defensive tackle or they don't address it in the draft. Maybe with a guy like a K. McDonald from the Ohio State University, but I will get into that later on in these episodes and later on in the season. But I think he's another guy that could be out. Kevin Byard and Tyreek Stevenson are very interesting. Those two are very interesting, and I say this because Kevin Byard, as we look at Kevin Byard, he is 32 years old. Yes, he's coming off a season where he led the NFL in interceptions. And we know that he's played some very good football for the Bears. But I think he is interesting because, like I said, he's 32 years old. This football team is a little younger. And will the Bears be able to bring him back with the contract of also Jaquan Brisker being expired? I think Kevin Byard may have the same fate of a Nahshon Wright, is that they're going to try to bring him back. And I think Kevin Byard will want to be back, just like a Brisker or anybody else will want to be back. But I think when we're talking about this defense and we're talking about his age, if they can get Nahshon Wright or get a guy like a Kevin Byard on a cheaper deal, I think that is a route that they are going to go. Because yes, Kevin Byard, I think at this point of his career, how much good football does he have left? And you have to look at that from a front office standpoint. We know what he means with this football team and the leadership that he brings that I think is invaluable. But for the contract standpoint, I'm not a salary cap expert, and I will never pretend to be because I am not. But would I love to have Kevin Byard back? Absolutely, if he continues to play at this level. But when we're talking about contracts and we're talking about extensions and we're talking about the value, he may be a little bit outpriced depending on what the Bears can do with free agency. And Jaquan Brisker, he really showed out, especially that game against the Rams, things he can do in coverage, the way that he can be used in the blitz packages. I think he's a guy that you have to bring back. Still young, still playing some good football. Jaquan Brisker's only 26 years old, so I still think he has good football left ahead of him. And we're talking about his impact on his football team. Very strong hitter, very physical football player that can be used a lot of different ways in this Dennis Allen system. I think he's a guy that you could try to bring back. Now, the most interesting part of this offseason and the part that's probably going to be talked about the most, should the Bears bring back DJ Moore? Here's my take on it. Yo, what's up, guys? Ep.2 Sports here, and today's video is being brought to you by ExpressVPN. Now, there's a few things I really like about having ExpressVPN. One, I feel protected. Being on the internet a lot as a content creator, or being on the internet, period, especially in the 2025 modern era, you're going to need protections from hackers. You're going to need protections from your passwords. You're going to need protections from your vital credit card, vital personal information. ExpressVPN does an excellent job of protecting you. And also, if things happen to slip or if things have been exposed before, you will get alerts to your phone that will let you know that things have been exposed to the dark web, and that you should take action. And then another thing that I really like about it is that you can unlock more of Netflix. Now, me personally, if you guys don't know, I am a big WWE fan. And since the WWE has a partnership with Netflix in the international areas, you can get your PLEs, you can get your Raw, SmackDown, NXT, all things WWE on Netflix. Best thing to do, switch your location to say a Canada, to say a United Kingdom, and bam, there you go. You have all your access to your WWE content, and it unlocks more things that necessarily United States does not carry. And that is another thing that I really love about ExpressVPN. So to get yours today and get 3 months free, click the link below and use code APW Sports at checkout to get 3 months free of ExpressVPN. You will not regret that at all. Best investment you will ever make. Protect yourself and unlock more television on Netflix to watch. Now, we're going to get back to this video. I think DJ Moore, I love DJ Moore. He's a quality wide receiver. Wide receiver one on a lot of different football teams. And his toughness, his grit, his ability to catch the football at times. He did struggle with some drops this year. But I think his ability is still there. He still is one of the top-notch wide receivers that we have in this league. But when you're talking about, like I said, his contract, it's up at 2030, and he takes $20 million against the cap. And when these days, when you think about wide receivers, it's not a lot. It's not a lot compared to your $30 million, your $35 million wide receivers. So it's not like DJ Moore is expensive. But we're talking about the Bears, and we're talking about some other extensions, and when we're talking about upcoming extensions that they're probably going to have to do. If you are to try and trade for a guy like a Myles Garrett, if you are to try to trade for a guy like a Trey Hendrickson, not Trey Hendrickson, a guy like a Max Crosby, I think if you're going to try to offset some of the money that you're going to be bringing in, crazy enough, you are going to have to maybe unload the contract of a guy like a DJ Moore and a potential deal. Would I like that? Absolutely not. And then we're going to go into what you're going to have to potentially spend for a Max Crosby. Here's what we're going to break down for Max Crosby. Max Crosby 2026 cap hit is $35 million. So you're going to have to, I think if you are the Chicago Bears, you're already going to take a little bit of a dead cap money trading DJ Moore. And to essentially add on even $35 million, it's going to be a lot. And I think the Bears are going to probably have to unload either a contract like a DJ Moore or a contract potentially like a Montez Sweat in order to bring a guy like a Max Crosby in. Now, will Max Crosby solve the issues on his football team as far as the defensive side of the ball goes? Absolutely, because of the pressure and the consistent pressure that you can get on top of what you're going to get from a guy like a Sweat who's still under contract. But I think that's a lot of money that you will have to spend on that defensive front. But then we look at the Myles Garrett type of contract. His cap hit is going to be less. But when we tell him about 32 years old, 33 years old, Max Crosby is only 28 years old at the time of me recording this. So, albeit Max Crosby, surprisingly to me when I did the research on this, is a bit more expensive than a guy like a Myles Garrett. But when we're talking about Max Crosby's cap hit and Max Crosby's age, he might be a little more beneficial of a fit for, I want to say, at least a longer term answer at that pass rush position than you have a guy like a Myles Garrett. Now, when we're talking about this Bears team, and like I said, the needs of this team is definitely pass rush. The needs of this team, I think it's more of just young guys developing is top of that. But you got some contracts to answer on top of that. When we're talking about Nashawn Wright, we're talking about CJ Garner-Johnson, talking about Briscoe, talking about Byard, which is all in your secondary. A secondary that was pretty much not healthy for a good portion of the season. And on top of that, you need to add a pass rusher at some point, whether it's Hendrickson, whether it's Garrett, whether it's a guy like a Crosby, or it's something off of the market. But it's great that the Bears come into this offseason and they kind of know what they need to build on, especially with the success that they have in 2025. Could we see some moves that throw us out of left field? Of course. I think maybe if they release a guy like a Swift, that could possibly happen to get another running back. Maybe if you move on from a DJ Moore, maybe even if you move on from a Montez Sweat, who knows? But Ryan Poles has a lot of questions to answer this offseason with the season that they had and the season that they and the team that they kind of want to continue to have. But boy, am I glad I am not in this Bears front office. I'm glad I'm not, because it would be head scratching for me to make some of these decisions. But that concludes this episode. I know I kind of rambled on. I know I kind of talked about different things. But make sure you guys leave this video a like to help this channel to grow, and it continues to beat the YouTube algorithm. And if you are not subbed, click the subscribe button, notification bell, so you're not missing anything that I post. But I am APW Sports signing out. Make sure you guys stay safe. Have a great and excellent day, and I'm going to catch you guys later. Bear down.